Hello, Roger Hayes. Could you tell us how the court case went on today?
Okay, well, we're down for a hearing for Liz Watson. She's put in a complaint against a barrister. Her claim was for repayment of the fees she's paid and for the barrister not doing his job. The barrister apparently offered her to settle initially, and she followed up with a damages claim, and it's ended up in the court. No, it's ended up in an administrative hearing, in fact. So this is the Bournemouth County Court, and what's happened is an escalation of the matter. So we now have this particular barrister who's brought in a team of barristers from London, and they are claiming £90,000 cost against a mere £5,000 worth of fees, claim back for fees. Now, this is what's going on. This is extraordinary. Right across the United Kingdom, we have barristers that are going into courts. Now, this so-called court is an administrative hearing. What that means, you've got one single judge who's making the decision. And because it's not a proper court, it's not a common law court, he has the liberty to make any decision he so wishes. Now, you can imagine a scenario, can't you, where one judge, member of the bar, and the barristers, members of the bar, are all demanding this huge amount of money, and the judge is actually finding in their favour. We think that this is wide open for corruption, and the people of this country should not expose themselves to the potential of corruption, whereby barristers are demanding extortionate amounts of money for what happens to be a minor case. This is a scandal, an absolute scandal. So what's happened today is we've gone into the hearing. We've told this so-called judge that we are demanding a common law court. We're demanding a common law court so that the decisions that are made are done by a jury. And of course, a jury would not see a barrister demanding an extortionate amount of money, £90,000. They would see that the whole system was a lot fairer, because they would see that they themselves could be in the same predicament. What the barristers are actually doing across the country is they're then bankrupting people, forcing them to lose their homes on the back of their extortionate amounts of claims. Clearly, when we actually demanded a common law court, this put the judge in a very uncomfortable position. We asked him whether he was on his oath of office, at which point we were basically evicted from the court. And the only courts in this country will be courts, common law courts. In 1966, the executive, that's the government, and the judiciary decided they were going to increase the number of administrative courts in this country, and that is entirely unlawful. And it's established through Halsbury's that the administrative courts have no place in British justice. So essentially, these courts are unlawful, and we're objecting to them. We're demanding common law courts, and where we do so, we're being thrown out of our own courts, and it's just not acceptable.
So what's the next step, Roger?
Well, what we have now is a situation where this gentleman was masquerading as a judge, and we're now going to use the common law process of a commercial lien against the judge and against those people involved, because effectively we have a fraudulent operation within the court system. We've had enough of this. It's gone on far too long, and we've got to make a start. So we're going into courts, we're demanding our rights, we're being thrown out, and slowly but surely we'll push these people back until they recognise these are our courts, and we will have our system of justice back in this country, and not a foreign system of corpus juris, which is totally unlawful.
Thank you. Roger Hayes at Bournemouth County Court. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, I'm talking to Liz Watson. Liz, can you tell me what went on today in Bournemouth County Court?
Yes, we turned up at the court. Roger Hayes and myself and some friends met us there, and we went and we basically said, could we have a court big enough to accommodate the visitors, to ensure justice is done. They moved us to a larger court at the end of the corridor, which was one I haven't been in before, quite a big one with the crest at the top, and sat down. The judge was looking fairly angry for some reason, and Roger stood up and said, we're claiming common law jurisdiction, and the judge didn't seem to like that, and he said, who are you? So my name's Roger, and the long and the short of it is that I was denied any common law advocate, and the judge made it clear that he didn't want to hear what Roger had to say, And I said, well, if my advocate can't speak, then I must leave the court. And I think he thought he would try and push it anyway, so he pushed the envelope and said, in the end, you know, you must leave, call security. So Roger said, that's fine, I'll leave on my own volition and we'll call the police.
Can you tell me how the case first came about?
Yeah, sure. This all started because I paid some money to a barrister, and anyway, the long and the short of it was he wanted to, leave me in the lurch, as it were, and did so, and I had to go to another barrister to take over the work he hadn't done. But when I tried to settle it with him, it turned into this sort of mushroomed situation where he essentially was trying to, through his legal team, trying to claim £88,000 of costs on a £5,000 claim, which I'd intended to put it in a small claims court. It went slightly wrong with how I prepared the claim, but that was a minor thing, and I was prepared to correct it when I realised my mistake of how I'd actually set out the claim. But essentially it was a very small issue, and I thought I would get redress in the court. And in fact, I'd been advised to go to the court by the Bar Standards Board, who found him wanting, but yet said, because of the negligence issues, you need to go to a court. We haven't got the files here. We can't properly adjudicate this. So I thought, okay, fair enough. Little did I know I was walking into this incredible hornet's nest. And I just, if I had anticipated it, of course I wouldn't go to court to recover £5,000 and come out with an £88,000 demand on me with a threat of all kinds of consequences from that.
Okay, so Liz, what you're saying, it started off at £5,000 and it's gone up to £88,000.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that sounds remarkable.
Well, it's just insane. I mean, it's a license to print money, really. I mean, you know, what is this? I mean, we're supposed to, these are meant to be the people's courts. We're supposed to be able to get redress in the courts. There wasn't even a glimmer of hope for that to happen. And it's absolutely bewildering to see that we have a system that doesn't seem to serve the people for the purpose it's intended. Yeah. And of course the privatisation, you know, these are all corporations running for profit, which I think is in massive conflict. I personally have had great disquiet knowing that all our judges are sort of chummy members of the bar. Many of them are QCs and silts, or were. And how can you possibly get a fair hearing? How can you possibly have a level playing field? And why are they ignoring the law? Why are they ignoring the court's overriding objectives? What's going wrong? It's all gone off the rails, and I just cannot get my head round. You know, issue a warning sign to people: don't go to court, because you could end up being made bankrupt, or you could end up losing your house because of it. You know, there's a sort of team of people that descend on you, complete inequality of arms, which is a major issue. And it's scary, quite frankly. You know, you just can't dream that this could be happening. It's a horrible thing to happen to anyone. And I simply want my common law protection, my common law rights.
Certainly. Liz, thank you very much for speaking to me.
You're welcome.
Thanks.